Welcome back, everybody. When you swear an oath, you learn one thing fast. Power without accountability is dangerous. I served 27 years in the military, and one thing I was taught, leadership is measured by restraint, not force. Over the past year, we have seen decision after decision that expanded executive power while cutting corners on accountability. I'm going to break down those actions one line at a time and explain why they matter to every American regardless of politics. Stay tuned. It's been a busy year, and we'll start off with covering some of the top highlights of last January with Executive Order protecting the American people against invasion. Oh, what did it do? It's a policy of total efficient enforcement, revokes multiple Biden-era immigration executive orders. It directed DHS, DOJ to prioritize removals and prosecutions for unlawful entry/presence, expands the use of expedited removal authorities, pushes federal-state cooperation. Oh my God, it's just a mouthful of all that. Okay, this was signed on a banner of national security. The order outlines sweeping measures to reinforce border enforcement, increase military coordination, and fast-track deportations. In short, it's a hardline stance aimed at stopping what the order calls mass unlawful entry. I'm all for protection of the border. We should have had that decades ago, but it's just this is an overkill and an extreme. We've gone from staying where there's nothing and just let everybody in to far right where it's just a killer proposition. But let's talk about the word invasion. In legal terms, it carries weights. In political terms, it's firepower. Critics call it inflammatory, way to stoke fear, justifies extreme action. Supporters argue that it reflects the crisis at the southern border. It's been a crisis, and that's what needs to be done. This executive order had huge implications. For migrants, it means faster expulsions and fewer legal protections. For border states, more resources, but also more federal oversight. And for Washington, oh God, we expect lawsuits, protests, and more political trench warfare. Is this about national security or national politics? That is the question. But one thing for sure, this executive order is more than about the border. It's about power, perception, and the story we tell ourselves about who gets to belong. And we can't, we got to have immigration reform. And nothing has been picked up and said, hey, let's do this. Let's get the right way to do it. Because they all say, oh, yeah, you can come in through the border the right way. Okay, if the right way is closed, and when you saw all those immigrants that were trying to do the legal process correctly, and they were arrested at immigration courts across this country, someone has to throw the bullshit flag down. I mean, this is not the way to do it. If they're doing the right thing, let them do it. I'm all for having a good border security. We needed that since 2001. But building a wall that people would just crawl right on over was a waste of billions of dollars. And now this is just a huge waste and human suffering that it's just sweeping everybody up, including U.S. civilians, is incredible. And the damages, they're done. Civil liberties, the rise of enforcement has scaled fast and broad. Mistakes include U.S. citizens swept up, become harder to prevent. Remedy and oversight becomes a flashpoint. I mean, look at all the protests that we have going on, and it's not going to stop. Local trust and public safety cooperation has been degraded when communities fear reporting crimes or witnessing. I mean, it's just, seeing a city by city, state by state, turning into the federal government taking over. And now with the threats of the Insurrection Act, this is not the way our country should be. And, people think, oh, we got to get rid of the illegals. Okay, I'm all for it. Let's do this. But the way we're doing it right now is bad stuff. I mean, good grief. You look at the 1930s when the Gestapo was taken away, the disabled, and those are not, looking like us or the Jews. This is the same thing. People don't see it, and you wonder why. Oh, why didn't you do anything about it in the 1930s? Well, people throw up their hands, and that's what's happening now in a lot of states. But, you've got to stand up, and a lot of people are doing that right now in Minnesota and places, and hopefully Washington, D.C., and get, members of our Congress involved. And that's why I keep the number down at the bottom of my screen here. So call Congress, get them to do something. Don't let, this get out of control like it has. Oh man, it's just one crazy year, and it's not even stopping. Then around January 2020, ICE operations began. Immigration enforcement, carried out operations to detain, deport undocumented individuals. Some targeted violent offenders, others don't. Raids at homes, courthouses, workplace. It's aggressive and controversial. Here's the issue. ICE is a federal agency. It operates in local communities without notifying local officials. There's no coordination. They don't work together. Mayors say that they're kept in the dark. Sheriffs refuse to hold detainees without warrants. Judges are calling out courthouse arrests as intimidation. Sanctuary cities have passed laws to limit cooperation with ICE. Some refuse to honor detainers. Others won't share information. ICE calls this obstruction. Cities call it protecting their people. At the center of all, real people, families, communities shaken, a legal tug of war with lives on the line. Question isn't how ICE operates, it's who gets to hold them accountable. And as we've seen over this past year, ICE has killed, and it's a murder in any respects from my view of it. But even with video showing it, they will immediately declare that the individual was domestic terrorist. They were following ICE agents for hours and hours when the woman just went down the street to drop her kid off to school. And then you've got others that are just caught in the middle of a interaction of ICE officers, and they don't know what to do. Stop, go, conflicting information. And then you look at the number of chokeholds on these people. I mean, the brutal, positions that they put people and carry them off like a piece of meat. I mean, there's a right way or a wrong way, and this is seriously the wrong way how to do this. But this has started out to create ICE as a Gestapo. There's no other words to put it. And I've had other videos on this that you can look at. Then we got the one big beautiful bill that was supposed to be with a budget with tax credits spending package. On the immigration side, it provided large multi funding for immigration invasion and enforcement for ICE, detention capacity expanded, and border infrastructure. They're looking at hundreds of detention camps across the United States. It's just incredible. Billions of dollars. I mean, ICE has more money than the Department of Defense. I mean, it's incredible. The higher GDP of some countries out there. The damages out of this are large. The AP reports tens of billions directed toward ICE operation detention expansion. MPI summarized massive multi-year enforcement spending, and they're going to want more money. That's going to cause the government here shortly to shut down again. Watch what I say. And then there's a lot of, this is causing a lot more litigation, cost of lawsuits going on right now. And there's more because there's no other guardrails. I mean, this agency is guard full of Gestapo. I mean, it's just, oh God, it's beyond belief. The overall cost of the one big beautiful bill, they lay it out to be 3.4 trillion over 10 years, making one of the largest budget reconciliation bills in recent U.S. history. With interest added on and debt added, it could exceed 4 trillion over a decade. Oh my God, 4 trillion. Where's my taxes at? My taxes. Oh my God, it's just going to kill me. I mean, ICE enforcement and deportation, it was 170 billion out of this for 4 years for ICE covering all their activities. And then, everything, including their border infrastructure, which we don't hear much, but there's probably a lot going on with that. Need more information on it. And then there's the immigration detention camps, 45 billion over the next few years on that. And then how we do this with the tax cuts for the rich, that covers the 2017 tax cuts for the rich back then. And that's expected to be $3 to $3.4 trillion in those tax cuts. And then, part of that is increased spending in the defense and other areas, cut to safety net programs. That's Medicaid and SNAP. We don't know how much is going to be sliced out of that. That kind of disappeared. We heard a lot of, gnashing of teeth a few months ago. But it's scored over a decade. Annual spending is a smaller slice of the total, but the cumulative impact is large. We're talking about 1 trillion in immigration costs, 3.4 trillion over the entire bill. Yeah, get it right, corrected. 3.4 trillion projected costs over 10 years. 170 billion in immigration enforcement out of that, and then 45 billion for detention camp expansion. So the overall cost is trillions of dollars, and like I said before, starting this year, our interest rate on our debt of 36 trillion is $1 trillion. We're not going to get out of debt. This country is going to foreclose fast at some point here. We're heading towards a collision. It's like the Titanic. We're sailing down towards that iceberg, and it's not going to stop. We're heading for it real hard here, real hard. But one of the most destructive things that Donald Trump has done to the government was to implement into the federal workforce Schedule F policy career. And so basically he's replacing government employees with political people that will just only approve what he does. And we had that in the 18th and early 19th century, but because we wanted to get more stability into the government and have people that know what they're doing, because just having a yes man in every position is very destructive. And what the Schedule F does, it's been renamed to policy/career. It's reclassifying these positions so that way it is treated as a political position and it's turned over. So we're going to have 50,000 federal employees gone, and then every 4 years this will be a massive turnover. It's incredible. This isn't official political accounting to add up every single dollar, but it wasn't structured as direct line item spend like an appropriation bill, but the cost here are indirect economic. I mean, we've had thousands of these employees, released civil employees, with no jobs. I mean, from the parks out there, people that were dedicated to doing this work, to scientists. So we've had a massive changeover where we just those positions are all gone, and then the ones they'll keep is the ones that they want to have. I mean, they ended up firing the nuclear scientists that control the nukes, and it's like insanity, and had to go back and find them. But the workforce turnover is just incredible what they're doing. I mean, they have demoralized. The onboarding costs have gone up. The cost of over 260,000 that have exited through firings, buyouts, retirements, and resignations. I mean, it's just astronomical what it's done to people, especially if they move agencies from the East Coast to the West Coast or the middle of the country. They just cause a lot of people just to quit these jobs and leave. I mean, experienced people, a serious brain drain that we're going to see the effects for years to come. I mean, multiple union and civil service groups have already challenged these changes in court. Some of them are getting it, but these are costs. The costs are expensive. The litigation and defending agency actions and the compliance, and then not knowing who's going to take over a lot of these positions. Independent experts have warned strongly that expanding politicization undermines government performance, regulatory quality, and administrative capacity, which reduce higher cost, slower service, and lower economic output. So it's incredible. I mean, you can't account for the indirect economic impacts like the employee attrition. I mean, long-term government employees are gone. You just can't groom that experience. And then, cost quantifiable in this, Schedule F destruction here. A watchdog group estimated that a federal paid leave program tied to the workforce restructuring costs about $10 billion in 2025. Okay, as we're going through all these things that Trump has put through executive orders, we're talking about billions in dollars that are lost, that are added to our national debt. So I don't know, right now, $3-4 trillion last year and more adding. He wants to add these Trump-class battleships that would be $10 to $15 billion a piece in his pipe dream. The Iron Dome that will cost billions of dollars. I mean, it just makes my head explode looking at the numbers here. I mean, when I was in the military, I had to account for budgeting millions of dollars that I'm going to spend, but we are all held accountable to where this money's going. They're like drunks in a drinking spree that they feel they have no alcohol will ever end. The flow keeps on coming. Holy crap. What can be said about all this? Up to, like I said, 50,000 positions could be reclassified from competitive civil service, meaning potentially millions of dollars in unemployment benefits, recruitment, litigation, and turnover costs over time. Ugh, it's just incredible. It makes me want to go full nuclear. Ugh. And then larger and harder to quantify direct pay for role figures. I mean, I don't know what they're going to be paying some of these people, and think they can cut the costs and how people are paid. I mean, they thought, oh yeah, we're just going to clean up the fraud. Well, maybe there is, and maybe there's not. But no one in Doge took a chance to really look at all this. It was just huge swipes and get rid of everything. Now, there's no official dollar figure for the schedule policy career classification itself, but it wasn't a direct spending program. But the government restructuring tied to it has cost hundreds of billions in workforce disruption. Programs like extended paid leave and deferment resignations alone already cost 10 to 15 billion in 2025. The broader cost shows up in lost productivity, legal battles, erodes institutional capacity. Cost economics say far harder to measure, but potentially much larger. Oh, God. We're moving on to DOGE, restructuring of federal tech and government operational disruptions. That was an executive order that was establishing and implementing the President's Department of Government Efficiency. You didn't see Elon Trump lasting long, but him and his minions just went through the government and took everything away. And I just wouldn't be surprised that the Russians have a lot of our code within the Social Security and everything else. And a lot of it's been turned over to the Department of Justice, as they're going to probably narrow down to what they're going to do to people. I mean, you already seen the ICE agents out there with their computers doing biometrics and stuff. And so turning our government into a digital police state. We'll probably end up with some social credit like the Chinese. I guess I'll be running out of credit here real soon with this channel. A Senate subcommittee analyzed the analysis, concluded that DOGE generated at least $21.7 billion in waste in the first 6 months. Oh my God, $21.7 billion, mind you. Oh, and that's meaning money spent inefficiently or lost rather than saved. DOGE claimed tens of billions in savings. No. Contract cuts worth about $8.5 billion on paper, with some figures even being questioned. A lot of it's been debunked. Out of 2025, approximately $135 billion from rehiring, lost work time, morale drop, and rehirings after wrongful firings. $135 billion gone. I mean, in the first 6 months, 21.7. DOGE reported savings $8 billion to $55 billion claimed, but these are inflated. Now, when you combine realistic assessments of actual cost of lost productivity, rehiring, legal battles, and the embedded waste from poorly targeted cuts, estimates, and these are independent estimates, suggest hundreds of billions in damage versus a small fraction of real savings. So DOGE early public goal of cutting $1 trillion in waste never happened. Out of what DOGE has disrupted the workforce, operational chaos with how the government was working, and right now there's multiple lawsuits ongoing over constitutional privacy access issues related to DOGE actions. And then reports indicate DOGE access sensitive Social Security data, a risk with its own potential legal and financial liability. Wonder what's going to happen there. When someone asks, how much damage did DOGE do? Responsible isn't in X savings, but DOGE actually appeared to have cost significantly more than they saved by hundreds of billions, mainly due to disruption, waste resources, and productivity loss rather than real efficiency. Incredible. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about, DOGE. DOGE stood for the Department of Government Efficiency, a U.S. federal initiative created by the executive order on January 20th, 2025. Its aim? To modernize government efficiency, streamline operations, and cut wasteful spending. It's not a traditional cabinet department, but it was a temporary organization under the executive office of the president. And yes, it really used the acronym DOGE, which made headlines and memes everywhere. The origins of this was established during the second Trump administration via executive order. It built off the existing United States Digital Service, that was his job to cut out waste in the U.S. government, and it launched its mission to overhaul outdated systems and improve government efficiency. Okay. Its mission, that's what they said, modernizing IT systems, cutting unnecessary contracts and bureaucracy, increasing transparency in federal spending, boost productivity across agencies, reallocate and reduce wasteful programs. In theory, sounds promising, right? But what it really went down in reality was a lot more complicated. Now, claims of achievement in some of its early actions. Now, at one point, Doge posted regularly contract termination updates, claiming billions in savings from cutting wasteful contracts and modernizing federal services. But many of these claims were later debated, questioned, or criticized by experts. Now, Doge faced major pushback. Critics said its transparency was poor, it was overstepped budgetary authority, and its action disrupted essential services rather than help them. Okay. Plus, reports emerged that employees embedded across agencies may have mishandled sensitive data. And a lot of those things are coming out here recently where a lot of data is being used from the Social Security Administration to voter fraud. But those claims are all going away and being investigated, hopefully, including potential authorized access to Social Security and voter information, which prompt legal scrutiny. We'll see what's happening with that very soon. Now, analysis argued that while Doge claimed massive savings through inflated and unverifiable, some estimates suggest that actual fiscal impact was a small fraction of what was publicized. Excuse me. The debate came from, did the initiative meaningfully improve government efficiency, or was mostly political theater? That's an easy one to say. Even though Doge was supposed to run through July 2026, reports from late 2025 indicated it was quietly dissolved early. Staff dispersed, operations absorbed by other agencies, and leadership moved on to other roles. So Doge no longer essentially operating as a standalone entity 8 months before its charter was supposed to end. Oh, God, what it means for government reform. Doge sparked big conversations about how government can and should modernize. Supporters said efficiency and accountability are long overdue. Critics said you can't fix deep-rooted issues with executive fist and vague metrics. Whatever your view, Doge left a mark on a story of government reform in the 2020s. So that's the story of Department of Government Efficiency, or Doge, not the Doge coin, but a real-world attempt at efficiency that made big waves. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe for more explainers, and hit the bell you never miss an upload. Now, the other part of this is we've got a huge mess on our hands. The number on the bottom here, please call. Any congressman, senator, give them a call. If not, email them. Make your voices heard that this was all a big disaster. We shouldn't be allowing to have this continue on in our government, that we've lost a lot of productivity through these smashing of systems. Now, at least I'm going to say is that we're trying here. I am trying my best. So from me to you, thank you for putting up and hearing some of what I've said here, that hopefully it made a point on what's happening within our government. And take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your neighbors and your community. God bless. Whoop. Thanks for tuning in. Stay curious, stay kind, and as always, have a wonderful rowdy. Take good care of yourself and each other. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. I'll see you in the next video.